Alright, hopefully you could hear me. I can't see the chat, I can't see anything on mobile. Alright, cool. I want to check and make sure it's going on my computer. Alright. Alright, so I'll give it a minute, see if anybody else pops in here, and then I'll just go around. It's nothing too fancy or crazy, but I managed to cram quite a bit of stuff into here. I think it's about 20 by 20, somewhere around 400 square feet, so it's not that much. I think it's 20 feet this way and another 20 feet that way. And then there's like another little like alcove area here. I'm gonna flip the camera around and kind of walk around. So it's running in wide angle mode, it looks like, but that's pretty good. So as soon as you come in, I got my PC set up over here on a Primo Chill test bench. There's the stream pause there. Run the TV over here. That's usually running like media, like podcasts pretty much all day and that kind of stuff. There's the Pro 6 I got set up. I've been getting the operating system running on there, and we got the ANET A8 3D printer here with a bunch of mods that I did for it. I went to use it today and it was having thermal issues. I think I'm going to have to put a new thermistor on it or something like that. Do some troubleshooting, but I don't have time. I wanted to try to print a quick part and it wouldn't heat up. It kept failing, so I don't know. Down here we got the vinyl cutter and some accessories for that, and then some more vinyl 3D printing stuff. I like that little vinyl cutter, fits in the drawer. And then this is like my electrical bench. I got a bunch of the knuckle combs and stuff I've been working on. Yeah, every time I go to use the 3D printer, it's like I have to spend 2 hours to screw around with it to get it going again. Then once it's going, it's fine, but it's like, it's never like, after, I don't know, if it sits for a couple months and I go to use it, it's never functional after that. I gotta screw around with it for a while. So this is like kind of where I put together all my electrical stuff. Bunch of tools and stuff in storage. I got these cabinets here from Parker Hannafin. They were throwing it out. Yeah, exactly. If it sits there, I don't get it. I want to get a nice, reliable 3D printer eventually, but I got to put my funds towards the new machines and stuff like that. But I got lucky on these benches here. They were throwing them away. They're from like a kind of like an engineering lab. They were from like a chemistry lab. They're really nice, but the other guy that I worked with, he managed to score like 8 of them because I didn't have a truck. He felt bad and just followed me home from work and dropped off 2 of them for me, so I got to at least make this bench out of it. It was pretty nice. And then coming over here, we got the Grizzly Geo 755. Probably going to be getting rid of this thing here soon. When I get the Tormach, I'm kind of up in the air on it. I bought a $1,200 3-axis digital readout, and that's as far as I got installing it. Yeah, an Ultimaker would be very nice. That's something I want, something that's reliable, but I just don't got the few grand to throw at it right now. But that's the way to go. If you want to just plug and play and print when you need it to print, that's the way to do it. But we'll see what happens down the road. After I get the Tormachs and things should change around here, I should be able to have the funds, so I'll have a machine running 24/7, actually making parts instead of me having to stand in front of the machine while I do it. But the Grizzly's got this readout on it and stuff, so I'm going to try to sell that and use it as partial down payment for the Tormach. I figure if I could put $2,500 together, sell the Grizzly for another $2,500 with the readout. I mean, the thing was probably over $4 grand with the readout, so I should be able to get half that for it, but not gonna put that towards the Tormach. And then this is just all like, I made these carts like 2 summers ago. I took some shelving units and built a wood frame around them so they can roll around. Everything in the shop is on wheels except for the Grizzly, but I have some like casters I could put onto it and move it around. Everything else has casters that can go on it, all the benches, all the everything. So if I don't have if I don't have casters on the machine, I have a dolly to put on them or to put it on. So I put all my machinist tools here, all like kind of cutting fluid, taps, other like kind of. I don't really even go into this too often. What ends up happening is everything I need ends up sitting out here and just stays out at all times. So. But this was like a little painting cart that I was trying to put together, but it ended up kind of getting overrun with acrylic scrap. I got acrylic everywhere. I got the California air compressor. I couldn't live without this thing. There's no way I'll ever go back to a normal air compressor. Yeah, I would love to get rid of it to somebody that can use it. I actually randomly had a guy email me 2 weeks ago who's going to buy a Grizzly, the exact same one. And I was like, man, if you can wait like 2 months, I could sell you mine and it'd be a killer deal. I mean, it's basically going to be half off. I mean, I took good care of the machine. I greased it when did all the maintenance, oiled it and everything. I mean, there's a little bit of rust buildup on like the bench and stuff, but it's not like that bad. I mean, it just needs to get wiped down. Nothing that's going to interfere with anything too crazy. But these air compressors are the best. I think the Tormacs come with one dedicated to the machine, so I'll have one of these that'll do all that, like for the fog buster or whatever. Because I'm planning on doing a fog buster and flood coolant, because flood coolant's just a mess. And if I can get away with doing a fog buster most of the time, that's what I'm gonna go for. I got this like air purifier my dad left here. It's nice when the laser's on. It's called like an ionizer, I think. And it kind of just like electrocutes the air, makes it smell like a rainstorm almost. It's good when the laser's cutting this plastic, because as you can see, the laser's DIY, so it's going to cost me probably $1,500, $1,000 maybe, to get all laser cut aluminum panels to cover the thing in. So for now, I just got some boards that I freaking duct taped on there, and the smell leaks out pretty bad. So you can see this one's 1200 by 900 millimeter work area, so 3 foot by 4 foot. It's a 100-watt Reese tube in the back. The tubes are huge. I mean, the thing's like 4 feet long, or probably 4 feet long. And then like something's gonna fall down there, and everything's the water chiller. Hey, Burley. So yeah, this thing was quite a project. I mean, once I figured out like the basis of it, it's mostly like a CNC. The only difference is the mirrors. Like the mirror system is the big pain in the ass. And when you got to calibrate, you got these 3 little knobs. And then, I mean, but that's for anybody with the laser. So once you buy one ready to go, you're still gonna have to calibrate the mirrors. So everything else was like building a CNC combined with a big 3D printer. It's all belt driven, motors and everything. I just contacted the guys at Light Object and said, they don't sell kits, but I was like, hey, just put together a cart with everything I need to build a laser and I'll be able to figure it out. And that's what they did. So, after building my CNC router, and that's been my career for my whole life, is building and testing stuff like that. So I was like, I basically saved $5,000 by building this machine myself. They sell them pre-made for like $10,000, I think, on their store. Then you got to pay another $500 or $1,000 for shipping. So I probably actually saved closer to like $7,000 by building it myself. Yeah, I mean, it took quite a few years to build up to this point. Every single dollar that I got, I mean, I've been wearing the same busted ass pants and underwear for 3 years to save all the money to put into this stuff. So it's worth it in the end. So my goal for this machine is to get the panels done, but basically priority number one right now is getting down payment and everything ready, building my credit and business credit up for the release of that Tormac. And if I can get my credit and everything and the money together quicker, I might buy the 1100M and just do the servo kit upgrade, this winter or whenever the MX comes out, and buy the upgrade kit later. Because when that water gets on the MDF, it basically ruins it. So what I do is I cut these like mini MDF pieces, is like mini boards. I get about 3 runs out of it before it's too waterlogged, and that's because I'm like precision dripping the coolant as it cuts the parts out. It can run the drill cycles mostly without coolant, but it's still, I like to put coolant on there anyway because I don't want to burn out the bits. But this is a CNC Router Parts Pro 4824. Then I custom built my own gantry for it last winter. That was a massive upgrade. I mean, I'll show you some, I don't know if I have any knuckle combs here that you can tell the difference. I mean, I don't have any of the old ones, maybe. And I don't even know if it'll show up. Oh, here's one that's kind of... that's not gonna work. But you can kind of see the difference. Like the old setup with the rack and pinion left some like square corners sometimes, occasionally. The new setup with just that one ball screw and that linear rails. I mean, the knuckle combs are like flawless now. It was a huge improvement, and my goal is to, after getting my computer modding store set up, I want to start branching out into offering upgrade kits for machines like these. And because like there's people with the, like, I don't know, I don't like rack and pinion. At least I don't like this rack and pinion setup. I would prefer ball screws and linear rails. I'd take it over anything all day. That's why the big VMCs come with ball screws and linear rails, because of like they're gonna get the most accurate results. Even these Chinese ball screws and rails make tremendous difference. It's got a 2.2 kilowatt water cooled spindle. That'll eventually get upgraded to an automatic tool changer. This bed will get upgraded to an aluminum flatbed. And then it'll kind of be like my prototype upgrade deal. Like, I'll test this machine using the Tormach to make brackets for it and stuff. And I've been looking at different base designs, either getting something like a welded steel base from some company that prefabs them, or there's two companies, both in Ohio, like right around the corner from me. One does metal bases, and the other one does the CNC is probably around $5,500, I think. Right out of the gate, it was $4,500 to get it up and running. I bought the kit. I didn't buy the kit. I actually bought all the parts other than the aluminum extrusion. Then I went to 80/20 and I bought pre-cut pieces and built it a little bit smaller. It saved me like $500 doing that too. So I kind of like picked it apart and did it myself. But then I went and did the linear rail and ball screw upgrade, and that was about, I think it was like $700. So maybe it's about $5,000. It was an extra spindle. This is my second spindle, so probably $5,500, somewhere around there. It's paid itself off. I mean, shit, I don't even know, 5 times over for sure. So is the laser. So I mean, they're definitely worth it, and it's definitely worth it to go that step above. Well, it depends what your goals are. I mean, everybody has all their own priorities and what you want to do. I mean, Xcarve has its whole user base for what it needs to do. You just can't expect to get more out of the machine than you think, because you'll be disappointed and you won't like it and you'll be upset about it the whole time you have it. And I've kind of been that way a little bit with the CNC router. As soon as I got it and started learning a little bit more about it, I realized I wish I did a lot different. I wish I had ball screws and linear rails from the get-go. I wish I maybe sat around a little bit longer and designed my own and then had somebody fabricate it so I had... Or I wish the company Sorotech... No, man, my ANET A8 3D printer is $180. And aside from these finicky things that have been happening, once it's running, that thing is printing like perfectly. I mean, you could actually see... Like, the print quality, I don't know, this phone on the live stream is probably not going to show too well, but like the print quality and the layers are freaking, they're mint. I mean, I printed a 0.2 millimeter layer and I can't complain at all for 100. It was $160 shipped. I got it in 2 days from a US vendor. You can't complain with that. I built it in a weekend. So it does what I need it to do. I mean, I'm not making I'm not selling any parts off the 3D printer. I mean, I do sometimes, but they're nothing like where you need that layer quality. So, but eventually, like we were saying before, I'd like to get like an Ultimaker or something. Actually, I would love to get a marked forge, but you know, that's here nor there. I really just want something that prints quality, and I do want a bigger work area. I want at least like a 12-inch cube. But for now, the 3D printer's fine. I'm more worried about getting the money ready for the Tormach and then using the Tormach to upgrade this machine here. Yeah, it's nice for the odds and ends things, like out of nowhere. Like what I've really been wanting, what I actually fired it up to do today is to 3D print my own collet spacer, or I don't know what the end mill drill stop kind of things, because it'd drastically speed up the production of the combs, because then I don't have to re-zero every time. I just swap the bit and hit go again. Otherwise, like if I don't have the stopper on there, you got to re-zero the cutter every single time you want to do the new next tool path and stuff. And so I don't know. This table right here is kind of where I keep all my like CNC fixtures. You know, I make a lot of things like where to like protect the parts. So like when I go to cut out my parts, I put like different like covers down over it so it doesn't mar the actual comb. Like if you want to drive one of these screws into a panel mount comb, it's going to blow out one of the holes and it's going to make it look haggard. So I laser cut all these as like a, I don't know, like almost like a soft jaw. So just so it protects the surface so it doesn't get busted up. Yeah, I mean, it kind of all depends what you want to do. I just love having the extra size of the printer because it's always that what if. One thing I honestly though realize is I probably should have built a smaller laser. Like I almost never use that big of a work area, but down the road I will actually like it because once I take the time to build a nice embedded bed and do the covers and like build some storage in down at the bottom and make some fixtures so to align the mirrors easier, it'll be better. But aligning the mirrors on a laser this big is a pain in the ass, man. It takes me, I've gotten it down, like I got a good feel for it, and it still takes me like an hour or two. The first time I did it, it took me 2 days, 10 hours a day to finally get it, and it still wasn't that great. Maybe like every like 3 months, I kind of go in and tweak it a little bit from the vibrations. But once you have it like at a base, it's very fine adjustments from there. I'll notice like a sector of the laser is cutting a little weird, and I'll go in and adjust it there. But overall, it's not that bad. The maintenance hasn't been too bad. Probably before the winter, I'm going to pull all the panels off and drain the water because it's been about a year since I drained the water in here, since I set it up. And I want to get some fresh water running through the tube. But the chiller's been great. The tube's been kicking ass all through the hot summer. I mean, the garage is not the garage is heated, but I don't have air conditioning, so it gets pretty brutal in here in the summer sometimes. That's one of the next things is getting a portable air conditioner out here. But one of my problems is I'm running out of power. We only get 200 amps to the house, and I'd like to have all these machines on their own dedicated breakers and stuff, and the Tormach's going to take its own breaker as soon as that comes in here. So we're going to run a sub box and see if we can get some extra power here. We have a couple things my dad ran before he moved to his new house in South Carolina, and we have a couple breakers that aren't in use. He just ran them as extras, so I'll probably take advantage of those. And then over here, we kind of got just like some power tools all smashed in. I've been wanting to make like a combination table where I can embed all these machines into one roll around cart with some like linear rails. So like when I'm not using the drill press, I unhook it, slide it down, and then put a folding top over it. And then I got a full bench. I would embed the bandsaw into the side of it. And same with like the grinder and the belt sander. Have them all embedded in the thing on like a shelf with a linear slide, so I can just bring up the tool, lock it in place, use it, pull out the lock, lower the tool, and then cover it up, and then with a bunch of cubby holes for all the tools and stuff. Over here, I keep like spare all the production parts. I try to pre-stock as many as I can here. A lot of them go to Mainframe Customs, and then I keep a lot of them pre-stocked here for selling on my web store as well. If anybody needs NZXT door panel, I have 2 of them with like very micro scratches on them that I've been trying to sell for like $40 just because they're not worth throwing away. And here's most of like my spray gun paint supplies and airbrush stuff, airbrush paints, all my solvents, and I like to keep my solvents and sprays. I keep spray bottles of everything. It's the most convenient way I've found to do things. We got used to doing that at Parker Hannifin. All of our workbenches had a spray bottle. Here, I'll show you over here. Like I keep one with soapy water. It's good for laying down vinyls. I keep another one with isopropyl alcohol. another one with acetone, and then the ones down in there was lacquer thinner. Because when you're cleaning out your airbrush, it's real nice to just spray it in there and stuff. It cleans it out really good, and then you don't got to go in there with Q-tips and stuff. As long as you spray it out with lacquer right away. This one's kind of like my shipping and some other storage. I got like all the couple boxes. I've been ordering some stuff from Uline for the products to have their own like bags for it. I've been thinking about ordering bags for selling the radiator grills and this kind of big stuff, like a nice bag for it with it. So it's a cheaper method than having to buy a start doing product boxes and stuff. Like eventually I will when I want to go sell on Amazon, which my goal is to start selling on Amazon next year. So by then I need to get, boxes for the products, and then you got to put labels on them, and then especially if you want to have them at the Amazon fulfillment center. No, this is my full-time job. I'm out here every day. I started working out here in 2015. I left my job at Parker Hannifin, and I was an engineering tech there. We were building these like robotic legs for all right, that's pretty much everything here. I'm going to flip it back around. All right, camera, come on. There we go. In 2015, I left Parker Hannifin like towards the end of the year. We were building this thing called the Indigo. You can plug it up on YouTube. It's these robotic legs for paraplegics. It's called Robotic Prosthesis, I think, or Robotic Orthotic. I don't know, something like that. And basically, it's like legs for you put them on while you're sitting down, and then they can lean forward and it'll stand them up. And then basically, if you're paralyzed from the waist down, you can walk around using a walker. And they were pretty awesome. It was a pretty awesome project. And I was working there for about a year, and then all this stuff was growing, and then I was like, all right, instead of going there full time, I decided to jump in this on my own, and it was rough at first. It was really, really tough. I mean, I barely made it by. 2016, I ended up getting a part-time job at the hardware store down the street, and I have a couple of those actually that I was doing on the laser. To ship these door panels, because I couldn't afford the boxes at the time. I'm gonna order some from Uline, but yeah, I'm gonna figure out what I got to do for product boxes down the road. I'd like to get some nice ones just made. My uncle works at a graphic company. He's like the head foreman there, and they do like printing presses and all that stuff, so they can print out and die cut basically any kind of shape I want. I would send them the graphic model for it. They would print it on their big laser printer, and then they have a CNC that just cuts it out. It's like a big CNC plotter. I just have to get ready to do it, and then I have to, get ready to spend to do like 1,000 boxes, or it ain't gonna be worth the cost. But it's just stuff I got to do down the road. For now, I just baggy them, throw them in a box, and send them out. Nobody's complained so far. But what was I saying? Yeah, so 2016, I ended up having to go get a part-time job because I just couldn't make it by. And then at the end of 2016, my buddy stopped by. I hadn't seen him in about 5 years, and he was just blown away by what I was doing out here. And he had just got a really good IT job, and he was like, "Hey man, what do you need to do to get to the next step?" And I was like, "Well, I need a laser cutter." And he was like, "Well, let's get it." And oh yeah, I use those kind of boxes for shipping and everything. I was talking about product boxes. So I would make like an individual pack for like, I have stacks of them. Here, I'll show you. But like I'm talking about like one little box for a comb like this to put, up here I got all my USPS. I'm stocked with all their boxes. That's what I use primarily is USPS. I think I have a UPS option on my store, but I barely use them. USPS, especially in the States, is the best way to go. It's the best price. But I ended up having to go back to work at the hardware store. And then once I got the laser, my buddy was like, "So what do you need to get to the next step?" I told him the laser, and he's like, "Let's get it." And I was like, "Oh my God, are you serious?" And at that time, I had no credit, and I couldn't get a loan for anything. So he was like, "Yeah, let's buy it. We'll set up a payment plan." And we got the laser, and I just paid the laser off about 4 months ago. So it paid itself off in a year, and that's with paying the bills. So once I got the laser, within like 3 months, I was able to quit the part-time job at the hardware store. Enough orders were coming in, and I was able to sustain paying the bills. And My girlfriend also got a new job at that time, so it helped split the load of the utilities and everything. Yeah, man, I was blown away. Like, it was the coolest thing almost anybody's ever done for me. I'm extremely grateful for that. Because, like, I would have been struggling for quite a while. Yeah, mainframe is. That's my main guy. Everything I get, he basically gets exclusive reselling for the first, like, basically for most of the time. And then I'm going to look for, like, out of states. We've been working together on a lot of parts for a few years now, so I'm gonna, he's my main guy, and we're just gonna try to work together to keep building up. And I'm gonna try to send some of my parts overseas. I like to stock some people in Canada and Australia and Europe, and basically get knuckle combs in stores and some of those places. Like, I want to talk to some guys basically in, like, the closer countries like that because I get a lot of orders from those places. That's why I want to send them there, because rather people be able to order them from those places than have to pay international shipping every time. I get a lot of orders from Denmark and Sweden and Australia. I've had a couple from Russia, Bulgaria, all over the place. So if I can stock a place over there, it'd be better. But yeah, once the laser got in the shop, man. What's that? Yeah, the credit's the brutal part, man. When I was a dumb kid, man, I wasted it. I destroyed my credit. Racked up all kinds of stuff. I had student loans that were killing my credit. I got a degree from ITT Tech back in 2010, and I think I'm actually going to get my debt forgiven because it was such a disaster, and ITT Tech went under and everything, and it's almost an embarrassing degree to put on my resume. Like, I just put it on there because some people like seeing that piece of paper mark, but I don't like it. It didn't teach me anything. I learned more doing everything I do out here. I learned more at Parker Hannifin. I learned more at Philips Healthcare. That was where I used to work. I built CT scanners there for 6 years, from start to finish on assembly line. So that was a waste of time. But that killed my credit because that stuff lingers over you and you can't go bankrupt on it and everything. So I'm kicking myself because I'm learning as I go. So, like, there's a lot of bumps and trial and error and stuff, especially with business credit. I just started learning about getting business accounts set up and building my credit with companies that report my invoices to the credit bureau. So if I would have started that up like last year, I would have a really kick-ass business score by now. But I've been working on doing both, and both should be in pretty good shape by the time I get to Tormach. So yeah, if my buddy didn't come through with the laser, I'd be grinding pretty hard still. I mean, it's still grinding pretty hard. It's like you got to be ready to sacrifice everything. Like, I don't buy myself anything. Everything I get, my new excitement is getting a new tool or getting to upgrade stuff in the shop, and I'm out here about 12 to 14 hours every day. Now that my health is in better shape, I'm hoping to dial in a better, like, work schedule, like 12-hour days, 6 days a week, get myself a day off to, like, kind of rest and recharge. Because even back when I worked at a full-time job, like, for somebody else, it was always Mondays were always my best day. I don't know, people hate the Mondays, but Mondays were like the day where I came in feeling like ready to go, and I would, like, crush it on Monday. Mondays flew by. It was like middle of the week where I would be, like, fizzling out. But out here, every day is Friday. Like, there's not a single day where I'm like, oh damn, I got to go to work. I haven't felt that in 5 years. So, well, no, I'm wrong. So since 2016, when I had to go to the hardware store. But other than that, it's been, even though it's not a ton of money yet and it's still a grind, it's every minute's worth it. But the next step is getting everything ready for the Tormach. And I think the MX, they said, there's not a lot of information out about it yet, just that it's going to have the BT30 spindle, and it's going to have, thanks man, I appreciate that. It's been a grind, but I mean, I'm grateful for every step of the way. I've had a lot of fortunate things happen that lined up that I was able to do this. I mean, if I would have been in a different situation, it'd have been harder. If I'd had kids ahead of time, it'd be harder. There's so many obstacles that can get put in your way. I was fortunate that my parents let me rent this place for super cheap and cover the bills here and get to stay here. And they moved down to South Carolina because my dad took a job. So I get to just grind out in here for the next year or so before we decide to sell this house. And I should be ready to move into my own shop and house by then. I mean, it's a contagious thing. I mean, I was inspired by NYC CNC, man. I watched him grow from his apartment in Manhattan. Like I started watching him years ago, and I was like, man, that's so freaking cool. And I got obsessed with the CNCs and everything, and it was just like one thing after another. Yeah, plumbing, man, plumbing. My dad always said that. He's like, you should just be a plumber, man. Like this was a long time ago because plumbers make so much money, and especially if you run your own plumbing business, man, you get to charge whatever you want because you're digging in the shit. So you get to set the rates. But yeah, I'm hoping to get out of this garage here and into a spot at the end of next year. Like my real like setup goal is get that Tormach and this fall in the winter, and then use that to get my way to a Datron Neo at the end of the year next year. If I can get a Datron Neo, man, I'll be set. Like I will have considered myself succeeded. Like that is my end goal right there. And if I can use that Neo to get an even bigger Datron, that's where I want to go for there. Uh, the CAD thing really didn't work out because I needed that work. Like times got tough, and I needed that time. I needed to be able to charge for that. I really couldn't outsource that, so that's probably going to come back. But I'm probably going to just tough it out now. And a part of it was my health and like having to deal with like having no energy all the time. I'm coming out to my favorite job in the world, and I am at like 10% energy and feel miserable. And once I gotten all that straightened out, this last like 2 weeks has been incredible. Like I've been on top of my game. Is probably the best I've felt since I started doing this. And just a couple adjustments to medications. I started eating better. I started exercising every day for 30 minutes. I crushed that every morning. And I come out here. It took about 3 or 4 weeks to get it going. And but like this is going into like week 5. I'm at like 4.5 weeks of really getting things dialed in. And man, it's the best I've felt. What's that? Is what I'm looking at. Yeah, man, it was starting to get borderline depressing. I mean, medications were affecting like my hormones and everything, and it just threw everything out of whack. And it was just a slow decline. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, it was just a slow decline, and I didn't catch it until it was like really bad, and I was like, this isn't normal. I shouldn't be this tired. I was sleeping 12 hours and not feeling rested at all, and that's not normal. So that's why I was trying to urge everybody, man, if you aren't feeling right, go see somebody, go figure it out, because you know, life's too short to be miserable that long. Do everything you can to change that around. I'm glad I finally made that move. And I'm one of those people that's like, I hate going to the doctor. I hate getting things taken care of. I got a couple teeth problems that I've been neglecting, and I know it's going to be bad before it gets worse. I got to go get that taken care of soon. It's just not to procrastinate on health issues. Get that taken care of as soon as you possibly can. It was pretty detrimental for a while, but I mean, I'm pretty positive about it now. Everything's flipped around, and I'm pretty I'm pretty excited about what's about to be coming up. I mean, I've been getting a lot of work done. I'd say probably in these last 8 to 10 days, I got more done than the previous probably 6 weeks, easy. Like it's just, I was only able to do so much when I came out here. But I'm going to try to be getting a lot more content out. I want to do a lot more of these live streams. It's a lot of fun, especially once people get in here and stuff and get BS and back and forth. It's a lot of fun. I definitely want to get one doing like a fusion tutorial, like weekly. And what'll be nice is that it'll be a tutorial based around like I get at least one custom order a week, so I'm gonna gear that towards like doing the fusion for it as long as the client's cool with it. I mean, it'll probably end up being more than one. I was only ever like healthy enough to take one at a time. I had to space them all out, but yeah, man, I could go on about how terrible SketchUp is, but it's just it is what it is. It helps some people, but the way I see it is just get over that hump, man. Get through it, Fusion. There's more tutorials for Fusion than anything else out there. And the one thing I want to do with the tutorials is gear them at PC modding, because that's what everybody I know wants to do. They want to draw a power supply shroud or radiator grill, and I want to be able to show, yeah, I saw that, man. That you did great. That was perfect. That's what I like to see. Quentin Dawkins was doing that too. It was awesome. He just jumped right into Fusion, took it by storm. A couple other people I've been working with have been doing that. Oh yeah, man. It was a lot more fun than I even thought it was going to be. I was like, oh man. Sometimes I was starting to feel nervous about these. That's why I kind of stopped doing it with the podcast. But I knew I didn't have like the energy and like the motivation to keep like talking through it and everything like that. That's what happens. I mean, you get used to doing sketch. That's what happened to me, man. I literally had to delete SketchUp. I had to delete it. At that time, I had a borrowed version of SolidWorks. I got lucky for a little while, but then I basically had to delete SketchUp because I kept going back to it. I couldn't. It was just like so tricky, especially once you get used to SketchUp's UI and the way everything works. Like it makes it 10 times harder to go out of that into Fusion, especially like all of a sudden you're like, damn, I got to get this done quick. Oh, but I have to learn how to use a whole new program. It makes it really tricky. Oh yeah, it's gonna be damn hard to go back to SketchUp. Like the only time I use it is like to take like people's projects and redesign them into Fusion. But I mean, I encourage people to just try it. I mean, especially if you have the time, put it in a 30 minutes a day. Do go through a tutorial or something. Like, there's plenty of them out there, and that's the main thing I want to do is I want to do computer modding ones. So when you sit down to do the tutorial with me, you're actually going to end up with a radiator grill or a power supply shroud or a reservoir or something. It's not going to be some random like friggin' block or something that's pointless. At least it's going to be something computer modding related. And you want to use a software that even if you don't have the tools, you can shoot it out to get laser cut, or 3D printed, or CNC machined instantly. Distro plates are definitely on the list. I definitely am going to go through how to do those and design them up. And that's the most common thing is I'm trying to get. That's why I did this group too, because I want people to be able to. A lot of people try to get in the email conversation, and I understand it because I was always looking for answers and how to do this and how to do that, but I just don't have the resources to go back and forth and explain like, and I don't have the time and resources to do like concept design work. Like you can't come to me and show me a empty space in your case and say, hey, I need a custom reservoir that goes in there, and not send me any measurements or anything. Like there's nothing I can do at that point. So if I do go through all that, I know. I kind of know. I actually like to do that. That's what I do in my videos. I think it flows better in my YouTube videos when I walk with the camera. It keeps me on pace, I guess. Because in my videos I have to edit out so many likes, ands, all that stuff. So the pacing kind of keeps things flowing. But either way, I'm gonna crush another workout because I've been feeling. I guarantee it's making me feel so much better. Like I can tell the difference. I've even switched up from running to doing some of these like insanity workout videos, and those are just like a whole nother level, man. Like I've actually noticed a difference just in the 6 days I've been doing that versus I've been running since May. I've been running 2 miles a night, and it's 2.5 to 3 miles somewhere around there, and it's like nothing compared to these videos. So I'm pretty content with those. The results they speak for themselves. But yeah, so the other thing I want to get out too is more YouTube videos, at least like one a week, because I kind of fell off, and like I gotta apologize to Cooler Master and some of the people with this Pro 6 that's been sitting here for so long. There's no way on top of everything else I was doing I can have the energy to go and then mod another case in my spare time because I had no spare time. That's another thing I'm trying to work into is like a dedicated day where I just work on my own mod, or a dedicated chunk of the day. Like once it gets to like, once I hit like my 10-hour mark for the day, I spend 2 hours every night working on my own mod, and then I'll be able to actually turn around some progress with that and spend like a good chunk of time editing. I'm just trying to get faster with Premiere Pro. That's like one of my other goals tools. I've been breaking down like the videos to like clips in the bins and like kind of sorting the clips better and filming it better too. That's another thing is like I end up with these long drawn out crazy clips that make no sense and I don't know where to add them in. I got to cut them all up, speed them up, slow them down. It's just like it starts taking so much time. You're editing a video for 6 to 8 hours. Yeah, it's like that's what happens to me every time. I get so busy and then I just like everything becomes everything, and then I don't get like the stuff I really wanted to get done or work on. Like taking a break to work on my own mod is like what makes this stuff fun. It's like why I did this whole thing in the first place was to set up my shop so I could mod my own computers like whenever I want to. and I barely get to do that. It's also what gets like the creative process going to like come up with new products. You know, when I'm working on a mod and I see like, oh shit, that would be sweet to have something that goes in there like this. Draw it up, and then if it works out in the mod, it's something I could put on the store and start selling down the road. I mean, that's how a couple of the parts that I came up with. I mean, I came up with the panel mount combs before Hans even had them in his video, and when he put that video up, man, they just blew up. I used them in Cypress 29 like 2 years ago, and I still got to run out like a real official like video shoot for that. Once I got it all finished and did the final photos and stuff, it the motherboard died, so I had to tear the whole thing apart and waiting. I'm either gonna upgrade the whole system, so I'm waiting on new hardware. I don't feel like going back to X79. I need to find a way to. Oh, there we go. I couldn't figure out how to see the chat. Yeah, it helps to like break down your day and get a schedule going. Like when I was coming out here, I was just like, hey, I'm just gonna wake up and mod until I go to bed, and it doesn't work out as well. You don't get as much done. Like I noticed when I set time goals for myself, like, hey, you got an hour to knock out this sheet of parts, or you got an hour and a half to knock out this run, and give myself mini deadlines. It helps me like stay productive throughout the day, because it's, you know, when you're working on your own, it's really easy to, you know, go off or start working on something else, or I get sidetracked. Like I was working on this mini project here for this is what I was working on before Damon. I ended up hooking up the CPU cooler using a thermal adhesive to that block of aluminum down there. So what I'm gonna do, oh damn, do now is take that block you sent me, mount the gecko, and then that on there, and that thing should be cool. It only needs to last me a little bit longer. Yeah, I'll keep you posted and let you know about, you know, gearing up that project when I get around to it. Whiteboards help me out big time, and I put all my stuff up, like I write it up here. Somehow I have it all written on there, and I always miss it. So I like to write stuff. I write stuff down on notepads. I type stuff out on my computer and leave like sticky notes open. I try to adhere to it as much as I can. Part of my new like schedule I'm trying to implement is like every morning I go to the whiteboard and I write down like short lists, and then try to nail some goals throughout the day. Then at the end of the day, go through what I did, and then kind of rearrange everything, get it ready for the morning, come back here in the morning, review it again. And if I can stay on that, I kind of keep up on it, because it's really critical when I have like 6 or 7 orders come through the web store. I do a little bit of work for Hex Gear, so some orders come in through them, and then some other orders will come in. And when I got like 10 or 15, 20 different things going on at one time, the whiteboard is mandatory. Like I can't get, otherwise it just ends up a total mess. Like I really need a lot more room, but I mean, I'm making do with the best I can. I'm gonna lose a lot more room before I gain any. So, but I definitely am gonna start up the podcast again, and it'll be just like this. Basically, I'm gonna try to do them for, I don't know, 30 minutes, maybe 45 to an hour. This has been 45, and it friggin' flew by. I was like, oh, I'll just do a 10-minute shop video. So it ended up 45 minutes. So. I'm probably gonna end up wrapping up this one. So yeah, they're gonna be coming here soon. I might do a Fusion one tomorrow if I can fit in the time and like figure out a time to do it. I don't want to kind of knock Fusion Fridays from NYC CNC, so I don't know if I want to do it on Fridays, but I guess I could just do one on Friday to get it kicked off, and then like find another day next week to get a routine going. But I'll probably just start off with something simple like a radiator grill or power supply shroud, or I could do a distribution plate, but I want to have like a more in-depth process for that. And I kind of want to, I wanted to like kind of build it up in skill, and people that are just starting out can follow along and do something nice and easy at first. Yeah, man, it's actually been pretty sweet. You know, the other thing too is I don't get to vent this kind of stuff out to anybody. There's nobody, none of my buddies know what the hell I'm doing out here. Nobody in my family knows what the hell I'm doing out here. My girlfriend's got a good idea, but she sees it all day, every day, and she's probably getting damn sick of me going over all this crap with her. So, so it's nice to be able to talk to some other people who are all doing the same kind of stuff and interested in, you know, figuring out or seeing what the process has been like so far and where it's going and where it was. I wish I really started this and stayed steady with it like NYC did, like from the beginning, constantly doing these kind of videos and stuff, so I could have really documented the process. For now, I just got old photos and stuff, but yeah. So Fusion Friday, and then definitely I think I'm going to do the podcast will be Saturday afternoons like I did the last one. I think that's a good time. People are out of work. It's a good time to go live, maybe like around 2 p.m. or something. It'll be a nice time for me to like take a lunch break and then do a podcast and chill for an hour or half hour. I'd like to do them for an hour, but if I can't pack it with enough content, I don't get enough people in the group, then I'll go for a half hour. So I'll play it by ear. And we'll see how it goes. This was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for stopping by. I see there was probably, I don't know, almost 10 people in here at one point maybe. We'll see. Hopefully I'll try to get, I'll try to share it on more of my stuff too. I don't know how to put these through to Instagram or anything like that, so I got quite a few things to figure out, but I'm going to wrap this one up here. So I'll talk to you guys later. If you want to stop back on Saturday or maybe tomorrow afternoon, I'll share in the group and stuff. I want to talk more about the purpose of the group and things like that, and like what my idea behind it was, and see if we can make it happen. Because I started adding questions to it. I want people who are going to be like the people in there right now are a lot of people who are active in most groups and like really bring stuff to the table. So I want it to be for a place where people can come to get a bunch of data to learn how to do the stuff, and other people to share things more, explaining what they're doing rather than just spam, just throwing just photo chunks into groups just to get feed people's pages, because that was the routine for a long time. You'd get notifications from people spamming their same photo every day into 15, 20 different groups through their page to get people to go to it. So right now it's not even worth my time to do all that. It's probably easier for me to just pay for advertising. So but yeah, maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Saturday, and I'll start the Fusion after that. But I really want to try to get it going tomorrow. So thanks, guys, for stopping by, and I will see you guys in the next video. Later, guys.